Now we're going to talk about, we talked about what is at word level. We have looked at lexical meanings, semantic fields, and lexical sets, hyponyms and superordinates, register, different types of lexical meanings, 4 of them, proposed meaning, and so on, evoked meaning. And we looked at the dialects and register as well. And these are all at the word level. Now, when we move on to above word level, which means we are moving on from just not only one word that we are actually having problems with, which is with its equivalence, we're looking at more than one word, 2 words, phrases. That is what is a phrase. So as opposed to a word is one single unit, whereas a phrase is more than one unit. And phrases are 5 types, of course. There is noun phrase, verb phrase, adjective phrase, prepositional phrase, which starts with a preposition and a noun, and also adverbial adverb phrase as well, in a manner of or in the way of. So these phrases are actually, whether it's a prepositional, noun phrase, or verb phrase, are the ones that you are looking at equivalence above word level. And this is where we are now. When you are not looking at the whole text, you are looking at only 2 words or 3 words that are used and what their equivalent will be. So here we, above word level, you talk about 2 types, which are collocation and fixed expressions or proverbs. So these are the 2 main ones that are above word level, that is at the level of a phrase, not at the level of a sentence or a full clause, because that's a much higher level than just a phrase level. Here we have, in this case, we have the equivalence above word level, and there's collocation and fixed expressions and proverbs. And here, collocation, what is collocation? It's actually, it is the co-occurrence of certain words, according to Mona Baker, this is, that are occurring regularly in a given language, and it falls under presupposed meaning. Presupposed meaning means the meaning is based on what is around, what is surrounding, what's the environment around the word itself. Here are examples, like pay a visit. Pay means يدفع, and visit means زيارة. يدفع زيارة, you cannot translate it that way. You have to say يقوم بزيارة. So you see that collocation in English, pay a visit, يقوم بزيارة أو يزور بكل بساطة يعني, simply يزور. And there is also some adjectives that are collocating with their nouns, like rancid and bad and rotten egg. Okay, this egg went bad, i.e. يعني فسدت البيضة. And so there are certain words like rancid, bad, and rotten used for the word egg. So this is the kind of environment that comes with the word egg with regards to when the egg is gone bad. Then there is deliver a verdict. Deliver a verdict, يبدي رأيا أو يعطي حكما, يصدر حكما. As in pronounce a sentence, for example. The judge is pronouncing a sentence. يعني يصدر حكما. Deliver a verdict يعني رأي يعطي المحلفين الرأي. Have you reached the verdict for the jury? Have you, jury, have you reached the verdict? That's what the judge would say. يعني أيها هيئة المحلفين هل توصلتم إلى رأي حكيم, إلى إجماع, consensus. فthey deliver a verdict. يعني يبدون برأيهم, يدلون بآرائهم أو برأيهم. أما بالنسبة للجudge فpronounce a sentence. pronounce طبعا يعلن أو يلفظ. طبعا كلمة sentence هنا لا ما معناها جملة. طبعا إذا ترجمناها جملة يعني يلفظ جملة. طبعا إذا ترجمناها بهذا الشكل وقعنا في خطأين. الخطأ الأول أننا لم ندرك بأن هذا collocation. This is a collocation. يعني 2 words. It's an expression. It's some sort of expression. A collocation is 2 words, they come together. One loses its meaning, the other one keeps its meaning. Usually, that's what the case is. فهنا pronounce a sentence, يعني كلمة sentence يعني حكم. لأن أنت في محكمة. فإذا القاضي يصدر حكما أو يعلن الحكم أو يصدر الحكم. So collocation is problematic really. When you are using collocation here, you have to be a little bit careful. Here is another example of the word, for example, bury. Bury people means يدفن الناس. Bury treasure يدفن كنزا أو يغمر أو يطمر كنزا. Bury your head يعني خبئ رأسك. Bury your face يعني أو غطي وجهك يعني من الخجل. Bury your face because you are so embarrassed لأنك من الإحراج بمكان بأنك تريد أن تغطي وجهك من شدة الإحراج. فإذا the word bury يدفن, you can't say يدفن وجهك ولا يدفن رأسك. ممكن تقول يدفن كنزك أو الكنز الدفين معروفة كمصطلح باللغة العربية. لكن the other ones bury people يدفن الناس أيضا. فكلمة bury يدفن ما بنقدر نترجمها مع كلمة face your face. bury your face يعني ادفن وجهك. we don't say أشح بوجهك أو أبعد وجهك أو غطي وجهك أو bury your head. It means the same thing. Cover your head because you are so embarrassed. فهذه يعني these are kind of levels of specific word that has got different meanings used with different words with it that comes with it. Presupposed meanings, because the verb bury can come with these different words and can mean quite a few different meanings. The same thing again comes with some sets of collocations where some words collocate with other words. For example, run a business or run a show or run a company. The word run معناها يركض أو يعدو. You can't say يركض تجارة أو يركض برنامجا أو يركض شركة. You have to use different verbs in Arabic that collocates with that word. يعني كلمات تلازم هذه الأسماء, أفعال تلازم مع هذه الأسماء. فنقول يدير عملا تجاريا. مثلا يضيف يقوم باستضافة برنامج show, run a show. And also run a company يعني يقوم بإدارة شركة وليس يركض شركة. طبعا هذا خطأ. This means that the student did not realize this is a collocation in English where the verb changes its meaning and becomes يدير instead of يعدو. يدير أو يستضيف أو يقوم بإدارة شركة أو بإدارة عرض. Also the same with adjectives. Sometimes the word dry, for example. Dry can mean different things. For example, you say dry clothes, and here it means ملابس جافة. And then dry river and dry weather. طبعا ممكن نقول أن الطقس جاف والنهر قد جف النهر. ولكن at times it might mean also dry cow. Dry cow يعني بقرة عجفاء لا تدر الحليب. And dry bread خبز مجفف. Dry sound or dry voice. Dry voice means يعني صوت لا رحمة فيه ولا عاطفة. And dry country يعني بلد فيه جفاف. و dry run. dry run يعني اختبار قبل الاختبار الحقيقي, اختبار كاذب. And then dry book يعني كتاب بمعنى ممل وجاف. فإذا you see this is how the word dry has changed its meaning depending on the noun. So we have to be really more careful when we are translating that. And then you have the word run a car, for example. And run the car, it doesn't mean that you have to make it run very fast. Okay, he runs a car, it means he owns a car. He's running a car. Yani it means that he is paying for its maintenance. Yani he owns it and he is running it. You know, when you run a car, you have to, and you run a business, you have to pay for it, you own it. So you see, that's how things change. So collocation really generally have flexible patterns of language. Like as we say, deliver a letter or deliver a baby. Like for example, deliver a baby. Of course, when a woman delivers a baby, it means that she is giving birth to a baby. يعني ولدت أو أنجبت طفلا. طبعا ما بنقدر نقول سلمت طفلا، يعني هي بالمستشفى وهي تسلم طفل. Because this is a collocation in English, but you have to know what's Arabic. And هنا طبعا deliver a letter يعني يسلم رسالة، وهذه صحيحة، تسليم رسالة. But here, of course, the collocations are flexible in the language. There are patterns that are flexible. That means they take various variations in form. For example, you can say deliver a letter or a letter to be delivered. So you can change it around as a pattern of language and a variation in form. So you can change it. But there are other collocations or other expressions that are fixed, frozen. These cannot be changed. You cannot then say deliver a letter, for example, a letter to be delivered. You cannot do that with idioms and fixed expressions. But they are actually, they are frozen. Mostly they are frozen patterns. Especially, let's look at the example. For example, bury the hatchet. When you say at the very bottom here, you say bury a hatchet, as you can see. And that means you become friendly after a quarrel. So you fight with someone and you become, after the fight, you become really friendly with each other after the fight. Okay? So you call bury the hatchet. You can't say دفن ادفن الساطور, because hatchet is a satur. Bury hatchet. I think hatchet is a T, not a D. The hatchet. So it has to be a T. Sorry about that. I have to fix it because it's incorrect to say that, to write it this way. So I'm just going to actually change it. It's good that I've seen it. Now that's correct now. So bury the hatchet is correct. And that's what we are talking about here. So الساطور الذي يجب أن تدفنه. And here you cannot translate it that way. Once you see that the translation sounds strange while you are in the middle of a sentence, and then you find this expression, and when you translate it, it sounds funny, then you think, it must be then a fixed expression, or it must be an idiom. I am sure that's why it sounds strange. So you need to rethink and maybe check it in the dictionary, Webster, to make sure that what it means, to know what it means. So here, bury the hatchet, يعني تدفن الساطور, is completely wrong translation. Why? Because it is an idiom, and it's a fixed expression, which means that أصبحوا أصدقاء بعد الشجار, بعد المشاجرة. Another expression is the long and the short of it. The long and short of it. Here basically it's an expression again, and this expression means that it is actually the basic facts of a situation. يعني the long and short of it, it means يعني لنتحدث بالحقائق, حقائق هذا الوضع. But that's what it means there as well. Fixed expressions are difficult to change. Having said that, for example, is a fixed expression. بعدما قلنا بعد قول ذلك أو بقول ذلك, and as a matter of fact, حقيقة, all the best, نتمنى لكم التوفيق. all of these are fixed expressions which you need to know about. Also, there are proverbs which you cannot change. Also, they are fixed. Practice what you preach. Practice what you preach. And waste not, want not. Of course, practice what you preach يعني يعني in Arabic it's something like أتأمرون الناس بالمعروف وتنسون وأنتم يعني وكأنك تأمر الناس بشيء وأنت لا تنفذه. waste not won't not يعني يجب أن تدخر حتى لا تحتاج. So there is no variation. You can't change the form of the proverbs. It keeps to its own form. You cannot change it. And you have to, when you translate these expressions and proverbs, you will know in the middle of a sentence or in the middle of a text that these are actually terms or expressions that are fixed and they mean a specific meaning. And when you read them, you need to reread them and check them in the dictionary to make sure what they mean, because they are all of them one unit of meaning. They keep to one unit of meaning. So it has to, the whole expression needs to be taken as one single unit of meaning together. You cannot just translate part of it and leave another part. There's another expression here which is passing the buck, shirking responsibility. Passing the buck is, it means that you are, يعني, if you want to, the literal meaning, it means يمرر الدلو, or the buck. But it's, or buck, maybe it means the responsibility here, of course it means. يعني يتخلى أو يتنصل من المسؤولية. Passing the buck. يعني for example, the manager, you ask him, you say, look, there is a problem here. He says, oh, it's not my fault, it's somebody else. You see, that is shirking responsibility. That is تنصل من المسؤولية. And of course, I have found another error here, which e.g. there should be a dot after the e and then g, which means example. E.g. This is how it should be for these ones here. More examples. It's raining cats and dogs. Throw caution to the wind. يعني لا and jump down someone's throat means you jump to conclusions very quickly. Food for thought means something to think about. There are other expressions, there are other ones that are requiring this kind of thing, which is go out without someone means, go out with someone means having a relationship, for example, or take someone for a ride. That means you are cheating, you are actually deceiving them, pulling one's leg. It means that you are taking them, or you are actually cracking a joke. That's why you're pulling their leg, or speak your mind. You need to air all the issues. Air all the issues means يجب أن تتحدث عن جميع المسائل. Speak your mind and تتحدث تقول ما رأيك, تعبر عن رأيك. Not to pull any punches. Also, this another expression which you need to check and find out. These expressions are fixed and has to be dealt with as one unit of meaning and not to be left as they are. There is another one here, expressions and idioms, like for example, say when. If somebody said to you, say when. Of course here, it doesn't, it doesn't mean قل متى. يعني إنما أمرني. يعني أو متى تريد. So, and there are other ones like take coals to Newcastle, for example. يبيع الماء في حارة السقايين. You see here, we are trying to get an equivalent for a culture-specific item, which is to carry coals to Newcastle. Because in Newcastle, there are lots of coals. So if you want to go and carry all the way to Newcastle to sell coal, there's no point.